Hello.
Jasmine, how are you?
Hi, Warren. Good. How are you?
Good, the gorgeous Jasmine. Excuse me.
The gorgeous Warren.
What can I say? Some would say I'm sexy, some would say otherwise, but
I say the lighting is very good for you.
absolutely. How's the light look at the moment? Looks a bit weird on my end.
No, it actually looks fine.
Okay, good.
Have you got any light that can come face on for you, or it's not too bad?
No, not really.
No,
No, as long as it's fine, I can always move, but yep.
Excellent. Okay, good.
Fabulous.
All right. So we should be streaming, I'm assuming now. Do I need to wait a moment?
That we're streaming well and truly. We are on camera.
You're going to hear Warren and I chit chat. We could go on all day, really.
Oh, we never stop, do we, Jasmine?
Never stop. Okay, so I'm Jasmine. Obviously, this is Warren. Welcome to the live stream today. And this is really just a conversation between myself and Warren and everyone who's going to watch to really highlight how important it is right now for business owners to be and to take ownership of their sovereignty. That can be quite a big word for a lot of people, I would say, Warren, at this moment.
Understatement.
So I'll just lead through this talk. I just want everyone to feel comfortable and that they're a part of this conversation. Please feel free to put questions there and we'll absolutely be able to answer you. Now, before we get into it, I'm assuming most people know what the Global Wealth Club is and what you guys stand for, but I would just really like to hear it from you specifically around business and the vision, why it started, and what's happening now in this space, especially around business and the sovereignty part.
Look, there's a long story, and I'll simplify it down, Jasmine, to just a quick summary. But very simply, I've been, since about 20 odd years ago, when I got involved in an off-the-grid community or underground community, and I met some unusual people, everyone to do with underground former CIA agents, secret agents, people who had all the stuff you watch on the movie with the who'd actually untraceable poison, everything. I met some fascinating people, who showed me what really happened with September 11. I saw deleted history books, everything. One of the things they showed me, and I worked out from my own research, because I was taken through extensive studies of civilization collapses, economic history. By the time I finished, I was absolutely convinced we were heading for an absolute, monumental economic crash. And at the time, I started warning about it in webinars live events. And at the time, people weren't ready to hear it. I did hear some people in the know would come up afterwards and go, I can't believe you just said that. We know that's coming. And then time went on, as we know, and we had the boom and everything else. And around about 2018, due to various a couple of things that happened in my life, which I won't go into here, I became very aware that we were heading for a major financial reset. And I was aware that in 1933 that the economy had been reset previously, and that financial resets are pretty common in any kind of financial system where money was printed out of nothing. So December 2018, I actually did a whole webinar where I was telling everyone about this, about coming violations of rights, governments taking people's rights, grabbing people's assets and raiding people's money, and that we'd be eventually heading for a push to microchip the population. Now, as you can imagine, 2018, most people thought I was like, what's this guy just smoked? And they didn't, and I have to admit, I started to question myself, did I go too far? And I did. For a while, for about 6 months, I thought I completely screwed it up.
Yeah. And
then by about September 2019, I thought, now I know I'm right. I know this whole economy is going to crash. It's going to go. And so I then called an urgent webinar with a whole lot of my high net worth clients, and I told them that, and I offered to basically run a mastermind group to train them in how to preserve their assets for the coming meltdown, what businesses to be in, what to invest in, and how to prepare for the coming crash. And a number of people signed up instantly, paid really good money to be part of it, and I taught them, and it went from there. And then other people asked us, and then before we knew it, we thought, okay, there's a huge need to educate the people. And when, of course, the whole scamdemic crap happened, I realized that, yikes, this is really serious. They're going to take everyone's money as well as their health. So I thought, I better move my ass. So the Global Wealth Club really has taken off since then, and we've been really focused on educating people around civilization collapses, what's coming, how it really works. And as you and I know, there's so many silly people on the internet, and I don't say that disparagingly, but people who, a bit like someone who's done a half-an-hour YouTube video on IT and thinks they can now fix someone's computer.
Yeah.
You know, it's and then people think they know the Constitution because they've gone to a few hour webinars or they know about economics. So I just thought, now I want to educate people who are keen to learn, to help people preserve their wealth, and not just preserve their wealth, but even profit from it and survive the Great Reset unscathed and come out of it the other side, because there's extraordinary opportunities leading up to it and after it as well. That's a simple summary.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's not a small vision, and it's a hard thing to summarize. And I think the most important thing here is that we will talk maybe there's things that are happening that are really stressful to talk about, and some really confronting stats and confronting things that are happening before our eyes, especially in Australia right now with what we're seeing in New South Wales, what we're seeing in Melbourne, even what we've experienced here in Western Australia. It's quite a stressful time, and people can't say, you know, people constantly just have a new awakening of something, and they're like, oh, this is happening, and it's actually so, like, it's like noise, constant noise, and people come to me all the time, and it's just too much. So we will talk a few things that are happening that unfortunately don't seem so good, but we're also going to bring a lot of positive side to it. Okay, so I just wanted to read something, Warren, especially because we're talking about business. These are some stats that we've just pulled, and let's just say that these are really alarming, because 78% of small to medium-sized enterprises are reporting a decline in revenue due to the pandemic, the highest level reported since the research commenced. This is probably about 6 months behind, mind you. 46% of businesses located in Victoria anticipating declining revenues over the next 4 weeks. Only 29% of business owners expect revenues to return to pre-COVID levels by October, compared to 53% in early June. This is just a little small snapshot. I heard a statistic was about 190 businesses in Melbourne shut in May. June, it was looking at about the 100 mark. This is just Victoria alone. So this is a real call out to business owners right now, people who do have small to medium businesses, because they're under attack. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, look, I actually, 3 hours before this webinar, I was reading with absolute horror how Scott Morrison's announced an emergency relief package for New South Wales, and I just shook my head and just literally did that, because essentially one of the things I even said, and I may have said it to you a week ago, I said the one thing that's kept Australia from going into the disastrous hyperinflation that America's now in, because Joe Biden's printing money like toilet paper over there, was that he was holding firm about doing relief packages and forcing businesses to kind of work their way through it with government. I said, although that's hard, it's actually better for our economy. And now that he's doing that, Mark McGowan's now doing a lockdown relief system. I thought, okay, bingo, we got socialism here. We're only 2 to 3 years away now from an absolute meltdown of the highest order. And so it's important to realize in the Great Depression that nothing's new under the sun.
That's
the
right.
exact same thing happened. They just started doing all that kind of stuff. They reset the economy. Businesses collapsed everywhere. I actually last year in March 2020, when the whole thing started, I did a webinar, Jasmine, saying that, I expected about 80-90% of businesses to be badly hurt. In the Great Depression, what happened was most businesses completely collapsed, and people were living on survival day to day, committing suicide, and the wealth just went into a small handful of businesses. So what I see is the same thing here. So what I'm more teaching people is, you want to be one of the 20% of businesses that come out of this a lot more prosperous and a lot more richer. In my case, our business has boomed, as you can imagine, through this time. And it's more because we prepared. I was so certain that everything would collapse. I deliberately set businesses up, but I thought we'll survive a reset. I've been doing this for years. I thought, because I was just convinced we'd go into an apocalypse. So yeah, look, businesses have definitely got to prepare for this time and play a worst case scenario forecasting model of what they're doing. And yeah, I mean, I think those statistics you gave are going to get much worse, because now New South Wales has joined the party, which up until now Gladys was trying to avoid the radical left strategies. So
yeah. So what I hear at the moment is a lot of people putting the blame on everyone else. And what I find having a lot of conversations as well with business owners is we need to put the onus back on ourselves, right? What's happening is happening. We cannot change a lot of the things, but as you said, you've been preparing. So now, for example, a business owner comes to you, and is it like a bit of a catch-up game right now for them? Is it possible for them to take ownership, do the work, and survive? Or is it something that could possibly take years? Because we need to have a strategy here that people can actually commit to and do.
The short answer is there is still time, but with every month there's less. And I was teaching in 2015 and 16 with Stephen Pettit, telling people back then how governments would be locking down their country, making it harder to move money out and leave, and you had to start setting yourself up now. Very few listened at the time. I think people are definitely listening now. I still believe there's time in Australia. And the reason why is, fortunately, like I said, until now, the Morrison government has relatively well managed things economically. Yeah. Whatever they've done with the medical stuff, which has been a disaster, they've done a relatively good job on the economic side of things, which means I reckon it's given us a bit more time in America. But I would say we've got somewhere between 2 to 3 years. It may be less. So is it doable? Anything's doable if you commit enough. If you take radical action and move fast, there's a lot you can do. I mean, I turned our whole business around in a matter of months, not years, when I got really serious about it and stopped playing games with myself and stopped kind of not wanting to do the hard work. So this is a time where we've got to realize that the West is collapsing because of mental laziness and prosperity. We got complacent, we got apathetic, we got greedy. Every civilization that's done that eventually collapses. And all of us, in a way, allowed ourselves to get to this state in the world. You know, we just let things go on. But rights have been slowly eroding for years. A small handful of people are crying out about it. The majority were just saying, "Nah, mate, look, as long as I make my $1 million on my property, as long as I can go to the pub, and as long as I can do this, life's hunky-dory, man." And that's what we've been dealing with. So once the people who do take radical action, you can do a lot. And it is doable. Like our Wealth Club, we've worked really hard to take our years of knowledge and put it into a very simple model to make it like, you know, take less time, like a 3 to 12 month period rather than take years, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that. So I mentioned the word sovereign and sovereignty before. And as I said, it's probably a word that has probably been mentioned a lot more than, you know, in the normal circle than before, I would say. It's something that I've really looked into, and I've learned a lot from yourself and the team. And let's talk about sovereignty. What does it mean? Because it's a cool word. It's something that we're throwing around, or you want to be in the hip club, but it's really important, right? To be a sovereign individual in every aspect of your life. And to survive this mess, could you explain how and what sovereignty means, especially in this space of being able to, survive?
Yeah, look, the actual exact dictionary definition of sovereignty is the quality or state of being sovereign or having supreme power or authority. And the next definition is the full right and power of someone or a body to govern yourself with no interference from any outside sources or bodies. In other words, the right to govern yourself. So there's a book written by Rees, Moggs and Davidson called The Sovereign Individual, and it's about that. It's about you governing yourself. So rather than, you know, please, Mr. Chief Health Officer, help me. You know, what do I do here? Or even like, oh no, someone help me with my health. You become responsible for your health. You become responsible for your finances, not your accountant, not your financial advisor, not your doctor, not anyone else. You are. You are the captain of your own ship of your life. And sure, as part of being your ship captain, you want good crew hands. So you want a really good doctor on your crew hand, you know, or medical expert. You want a really good financial person on your crew. You want a good business coach if you're doing that. You know, you want a good you know, life partner, so to speak, as one of your crew hands or, you know, rigging mates along with you. So that's the metaphor I like to give. So think of a ship, but you're the captain of the ship, no one else.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's a great explanation. And I think everyone can relate to that. Everyone can relate to the fact that what you said, the word apathy has been mentioned a lot as well. The apathy of Australians, apathy of people, because we just want now, we want to do now, we want to live in this moment. which is a good thing, but you also do have to plan and prepare, and you have to, you know, be ready, always be ready. So we really, in Perth, we've been really blessed with one of the Facebook pages, for example, like Perth Awake Businesses. There are people out there, right? They're ready to do the work. It is happening. I see it more and more. So we can definitely, if you're not a business owner, this is something that you can start to share with people, especially because we are focusing on a live seminar that we will be launching and some really important information coming. So you need to stay tuned. But what we need to do is we need to start to equip people, and we need to give them the right information. So if you could just share with me a little bit also about, let's say, for example, the Great Reset. You said, you mentioned it before, the financial crisis. If people don't act now, and especially even if you don't own a business, and start to support local business, what's in store for us?
Okay, so to give a bit of a metaphor to start with, Jasmine, it's like, let's say for years you smoke, you overeat, you have crappy food, and you know, and like, oh, I really shouldn't be getting drunk at the pub every second night, and I really shouldn't be doing this. And you can feel pain in your liver, you push through it, your teeth start to play up, and then one day you're going down the pub and you just suddenly pass out, and you wake up in a hospital bed and you're in agony, and you've got all kinds of stuff going on in your body, and the doctor's like, what have you been doing all your last 5 years? Your liver's ruined. Yes. Now, at that point, you've got a long road home to get back and get yourself healthy. So the Great Reset is really similar. It's the ultimate for a society of people who have given up their power in their financial. In simple terms, like what a reset was historically, but not new. There was the original Hebrews used to do what was called the Jubilee. So what that meant was that every 50 years or so, they'd reset the economy. So they'd go there and say, okay, to stop basically the poor getting oppressed or things happening, they'd cancel all debts and they would start again. And funnily enough, countries that were correctly reset and done in an organized, fair and equitable manner were the most prosperous countries in the world, because it meant that everyone had a chance to prosper. You wouldn't have debt that would last for the rest of your life beyond your lifetime and things like that. What's happened though is that since the Rothschilds and the various other groups created their fictional money system, there's a very good video you can watch called The Money Masters on YouTube. It's a 3.5-hour video, but goes through the whole history of the monetary system. The reset, let's just say that, and I'll give you a simple example. There's 120 odd people on here. Let's say we were the whole world and we had a currency system which had $10,000 that we all shared between us and used the barter system. And let's say you and I became the bankers of the community, like the Rothschild, and everyone here trusted us to run the whole community. And you and I started printing money, and rather than having 10,000, we give out 100,000. Everyone's money is now worth 1/10 for what it was worth previously. And eventually people cotton on to this when inflation's going up and up and up. America's gone up 25% the last 6 months. Like, it's in serious hyperinflation. They're just not reporting it on the media. People lose confidence in the currency. And just like Argentina, about 30 odd years ago, Venezuela, which is an absolute, disaster. It's an absolute, dog's breakfast right now because of socialism and money printing. America's fast going that way. As soon as people start seeing that those who are doing nothing are getting rewarded for doing nothing, the confidence in the monetary system breaks down. And that's what's happening now. Like, if you see people saying, nah, I need to go and, do fruit picking and all that, I can get paid for just sitting here at home all day, watching computer games and drinking beer. That's the collapse of a civilization. And when you study the collapse of Rome, it's eerie. It's exactly in the step-by-step sequence how Rome collapsed. We're following it to the letter. So the reset just simply means one day most people will wake up and realize they don't actually have any money because the bank bailout act's been initiated. Everyone's run to the bank in panic, like 1932. You can search bank runs 1932 Great Depression. You'll see some horrific pictures. And people running down, can't get their money out, and just like that, it's over. And only those who prepared for it are okay. There's a good reason why many world CEOs last year, just before March 2020, like the head of Uber and others were resigning, like lots of them resigned, quietly sold their shares and got out. And many of the wealthy have been quietly pulling their shares, getting out, moving to private islands, moving remotely, moving regional. There's even a community of remote viewers who we know, who are what's called psychic spies. They do psychic studies. All of them before 2020 we got the same message, and all of them left the cities and they moved into remote areas. And I even saw the email in 2019 where they were saying we anticipate lockdowns of cities because of a fake pandemic next year. They actually said that. And I thought, what the heck? That sounds a bit weird, but it happened. So yeah, it's all not going too well. And you definitely want to be prepared for it and take the hard steps now to make sure that you're ready for it.
Yeah, that's right. And look, the backbone of Australia has always been small businesses, medium businesses, people who can make a living for themselves, right? And know that they can provide for their families. But people have to be in a place where maybe everything they've done in the past is no longer going to serve them. It's no longer going to serve the future of Australia. So let's talk really simply, because a lot of people do ask, well, what do I do with these QR codes? What do I do when they lock us down? What do I do when we come to Mass? I know that you are also once a week on a Wednesday talking about knowing your rights, and you are sharing that. So
every Wednesday night, yeah.
Yeah, this Wednesday night, 5:30.
Yep, Perth time, yep.
Yeah, Perth time, so people can absolutely jump on that. But with business owners, a lot of people are apprehensive. They don't know how to take control of those situations. You've got cops rocking up, you've got people threatening you, you've got the community dobbing one another in. It's like the most un-Australian spirit I've ever seen in this country, to be honest. And at times, I think people have felt very disappointed in their community. You feel attacked, and you almost feel guilty for trying to provide for your family. And this mentality is quite damaging, because the generation below us as well, we need to give them something to look forward to, and we need to pass on knowledge that's going to allow them to survive this time. So if I'm a business owner and I'm going to join up with the Global Wealth Club, I'm going to come to seminars and also sign up eventually, am I going to be able to get assistance when it comes to this practical, everyday QR codes, lockdowns, all of these things that unfortunately are a part of our reality at the moment?
It depends on what level you sign up on that, obviously, but the short answer is yes, we do plenty of training on this kind of stuff. One of the things that I'm a big believer in and have always been is asset protection and preventative stuff. Like, I'm into preventative health. I see the chiropractor when I'm not in pain, because the reason why, so I don't get in pain. Yes. I have car insurance because not because I plan to crash my car next week, but because if I do crash my car, I don't want to be caught out not being able to pay for it. So the biggest thing I say to people is assume the worst case scenario and prepare for it. So we've been, since 2019, we've been preparing our business owners, well before this happened. So all of them were very happy, because the number one thing I said to them was, look, by all means, we can go and enforce rights, but being an ex-lawyer who was very good at it, mind you, it's tiring. It's easier to not be vulnerable in the first place as much as possible, so you limit your exhaustion. So the first approach we take in the Global Wealth Club is teaching people how to secure their assets, set their system up in their life to minimize themselves being caught out by that. And then if they're caught out by that, we do definitely go into all that kind of stuff. And more so probably in the coming days, we'll cover it. So one of the things as part of sovereignty I teach people is, people say, Warren, how do I get out of wearing a mask? I'm like, well, number one, I'm not going to advise you on that anyway, because that defeats the purpose, but I will guide you. So what we do is we guide how to read mandates correctly. And one of my trainings in the next 3 Wednesday nights will be actually covering a whole teaching on how to understand mandates, how to read them, how to actually distinguish them. So the lockdowns honestly have hardly affected me at all. I haven't worn a mask. It's been legal that I've done it. I went through the exemption word for word. I studied everything, every mandate legislation in depth, worked out where I met the requirements, and I went and made sure I met the requirements. And I've done that with just about everything. And one of the things, so really Global Wealth Club, we teach strategy, very much how to deal with that stuff. So, and most importantly, to keep your head sane and keep your head strong. Because if you keep your head strong and your head really, really clear, there's always a way to deal with this kind of stuff practically and systematically without getting yourself into trouble. And by all means, if someone feels like they want to go and rant and rave, that's their choice. I don't personally believe it achieves anything. I've had far more success by being smart and outthinking authorities rather than trying to go against them, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And something that I have seen that's been quite damaging, first of all, a lot of people call, wanting to be a free sovereign individual movement, like it's a movement. I don't believe in that at all. I don't know, you know, what your take is. I would like to hear, because
Yep.
it's not a movement. It's actually that individual wanting to live their God-given right to breathe fresh air, and that's your own choice. So I'm the same. I've seen some damaging videos out there trying to, you know, always prove yourself to everybody, but you really don't have to prove yourself. You have to stand on your truth, know your rights, know how to read mandates, do things in a lawful manner. And I'm the same as you. I haven't worn a mask. I haven't needed to. So I think people just need education around this without feeling that they're always threatened, or that the fact is a lot of the people out there don't actually know their own rights. So unfortunately, they try and portray something onto you. They've just been told from their manager. The police don't really get the right brief. So it's one big mess. Let's just be honest. But we can get through this if we educate ourselves and take the time. So have we got any questions? I'm not too sure if we've got anything.
On the sovereign individual, what you're saying, the sovereign movements, look, one of the problems is that everything in life is about risk taking. And yeah, by all means, and you know, I'll just quickly share my screen for 2 seconds, Jasmine, if that's okay. Just for 2 seconds, I want to show people something that will help. So hopefully everyone can see it. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the what's called the order of creation. So ultimately, you've got to start by knowing your sovereignty within you. And this is what I was very fortunate. Now, I got a really good education in the underground movement I was in 20 years ago. You know, these guys were smart. They taught me, if you don't get this first and foremost, and have a strong spiritual foundation in your life, you're going to be screwed. You're not going to win. And I met guys who genuinely won and made a difference. I mean, I met guys there who hadn't paid tax in years, who'd won in every court case they'd just about gone to. And the reason why they said that, you just have to know who you are, first and foremost. Now, it took me a fair while to get this one, by the way, because it's easier said than done. Many people, from my experience, are trying to be this sovereign individual when they deep down, they don't believe it and they're scared shitless.
Yeah.
And, you know, you absolutely have no chance if you're going to do that. So sovereignty starts first within you. And then once you know who you are, and then you can decide, how do I participate in society and how do I work within this situation? You know, there's some things you might say, yep, well, I've got a choice of this. You might choose to move to a regional area like many are doing. Some might choose to completely quieten their lifestyle. I even know there's people who've moved off grid living there. We've simplified our life quite considerably. So first and foremost, it comes from knowing who you are. So the danger of a sovereign community and saying we choose to do that, well, you're taking a risk, because even though in theory you've got the right to go and form any sovereign community that you woman will want to at common law, the reality is you're dealing with a mafia cartel that says you can't, and you just got to make sure, am I willing to take on this mafia cartel and win? So
yeah, that's right. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of apprehension, and people don't know what's coming. You do, but at the same time, you got to live in the moment and you've got to live in the now. Otherwise, you're constantly trying to think about the future and you're not actually taking action in that moment. So
yeah, and there's some questions here, Jasmine. So I might just quickly cover some of those. How does the club work? Well, okay, Mark. So in very simple terms for Mark, there's various levels of membership. A few of them you can't access until you've been in one of the earlier ones. There's 2 initial starting ones. One that's just a very much do-it-yourself program where you come along to live webinars, you ask questions on the webinars, you can email us for questions anytime, and you get a full step-by-step, very systematic guideline to begin your foundations on sovereignty, which is what's called our Ignite program, our starter. And then our Advanced or Accelerator, you also get some personal mentoring, and that's usually with me, where I actually go and help people, give some, you know, advice. I go through the situation and things like that. And that accelerated one also has its own webinars and are more advanced and teaching on the more advanced stuff. So generally it depends on whether people are wanting personal mentoring or whether you're a newbie to sovereignty, you're really a baby, or if you're a bit more advanced, you've done a lot of research, you've got your knowledge, you know who you are, you just want to know the next level about offshore, about precious metals. Carl asks, what happens if you don't have any assets? Is there any assets you can get into now to set yourself up? Yeah, well, if you don't have any assets, you want to first start generating an income, Carl. That's what I'd be saying there. So you would be number one, first and foremost, to start to find a way to generate an income of some kind. Mark, yes, oh, it's Mark again. No, it doesn't cover super like self-managed fund. That's anyway, that's a heavily licensed area handled by only accounting firms licensed to do that, and we don't do super, for example. Nor, I might add, Mark, do I like super myself. I have my reservations about the superannuation system, and I think that's the first thing that's going to be in trouble from the meltdown. But that's just my opinion, and it doesn't mean that I'm right. So Lara asked about the packages cost. Well, yeah, look, it depends. And so we just always give a free, no obligation call for people to have a chat to Grace or one of our specialists, and then, see if it's right for them.
And then we will also have an interest landing page, a register of interest. So please head over there and add your details if you want to know more information about how you can sign up and have a chat with one of the team. Also, we do have live events coming up in Perth in Western Australia. And the reason being is because we really want to bring people together. Community is really important, but also to be able to reach more businesses and people who do need help right now. I do feel sometimes that we need to go and shake a few people up, but not everybody is going to be prepared to do the self-work and to take action. But if you do know somebody, or you are a business owner and you are in the place where you need help, I would say most people, please reach out. The Global Wealth Club has a massive vision. This is a long-lasting vision. And we really do believe that if we do the work and we prepare, we're going to get through this. And that's the positive part.
Absolutely, yeah. Just a couple more questions, Jasmine, then I'll continue on what you just said. Do you teach about precious metals, cash and cryptos? Good question, Kelly. The answer is absolutely we do. But a lot of that's at the more advanced level, the second level, the accelerator. But yes, we definitely cover that. We give a basic foundation in our starter package where we go through the foundations. The more advanced stuff around that, we generally cover in our accelerator one, which also includes the personal mentoring. So we cover precious metals, where you can buy it. You buy it overseas in Australia. Do you buy coins? Do you buy nuggets? We've even got coin dealers who come and talk and done webinars for us, and experts in the area where, we give you our Rolodex of contacts where you can get stuff. So that's that one. In terms of what Jasmine said, yeah, look, the Global Wealth Club, we set it up to really just, look to, like Jasmine said, long-term vision, to give people a way through this time and be able to be educated, learn what businesses, get support. And as you get to higher levels of the club, quite a number of our, a small number of our clients now are even been getting into, meeting investment syndicates, angel investing opportunities. We've just gone into a bit of a restructure oil and gas deal ourselves with a few people. So there's all kinds of possibilities. So which can really grow your wealth and take advantage of the positive on what Jasmine said is I've never seen such incredible opportunities as we've got now. Like in business, we're finding we're getting opportunities we never got before. I'm meeting contacts who I never would have met before. So the shining light in all of this is that if you move beyond the fear and you get the right mentoring, and I still to this day spend very good money on mentoring to make sure we stay ahead of the game.
Yes.
So there's some more questions here. Jade, is it worth buying gold or silver? Well, yeah, I don't give financial advice, but the main thing, Jade, we teach in the Global Wealth Club is a balanced portfolio and the way to balance your risk, and gold and silver and precious metals is certainly part of it. And yeah, there's various ways you can buy it, whether it's coins, whether it's the mint, whether it's nuggets, whether it's digital online, offshore handling places, all that kind of stuff. Then is real estate a mistake to buy into now? God, that's a direct advice question, and a direct one that all I can say is that it's a personal choice. Some love real estate, some don't. I'm a disliker of real estate myself, only because I don't like something that's physically, it's the easiest thing to tax and the easiest thing to confiscate as governments run out of money. So I get very nervous about it. Plus it tends to tie you to the land if you live in it. So let's say that deplorable things happen in WA in the next year. Now I've got a question, do I stay in my house? What do I do? So I like to keep traveling very light. That's my personal choice. And but for some people, yeah, look, real estate has obviously gone up a heck of a lot in the last 6 months. And who knows, it might keep going up. It might crash. I don't really know. So that's my comments on that. What type of businesses do you think will survive? What would you avoid? We've got a post on the Global Wealth Club Facebook group which covers some of that. But yeah, obviously online, very physical food type of businesses, things like that. Generally, consultants are the first ones to get culled in any kind of crash. That's just a couple I'll mention now. So you got to make sure you're a very good consultant if you're doing it, because they're normally the first things to get culled.
Yeah.
So
there was another question from Kelly. So do you also teach how to run a business and not pay tax?
Teach you how to run a business and minimize your taxes, and depending on how you structure it, you may not pay tax. Generally, if you live in Australia, you will pay some tax of some kind. But yeah, you know, some people have got non-residents to move offshore and pay no tax. That, by the way, is changing. The government have announced, as we've been predicting for years, they're going more towards the UK model, where it'll take 3 years once you leave before you get out of our tax system. They haven't passed those laws yet, but that's coming soon. So we've got people frantically trying to do it. There are ways to significantly minimize tax 100% legally through overseas structures, but if you live in Australia, that's quite expensive and involved. Occasionally, there's charitable foundations that can also minimize tax as well.
Yes.
So,
all right, we don't have too long left on this one, so we will keep it a bit shorter and briefer tonight, but we will start doing more of these. And we have had Edward share the link, which we will send out to you all personally as well, to register your interest with us and to have one of our team talk with you. Because as we said, the onus is on you, it is on me, it is on Warren, it is on each individual to take action for yourself and for your family and business. For your business, and we really truly believe that Global Wealth Club is the answer, and you're the answer to yourself. The other one was, do you use other means than Facebook to keep in touch and learn? You might be able to better answer that. I know that you've got your website, you've also got a few different Facebook groups, and you also do direct emailing. Is there anything else that I need to mention there? Your Telegram?
Yeah, we've got, excuse me, we've got our Telegram. Is one channel that we've got. We've got our Global Wealth Club. Edward, you might know what we've got. The Global Wealth Club, we've got our membership site, but that's for members. We've got our Facebook and email list, and our Facebook's probably the main thing that we use at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Telegram we more use for our awakening within work.
Yeah, so the link is there in the chat at the moment, but we'll get that out and we'll also post that onto the Facebook page, the Global Wealth Club, tonight. If there's any other questions, please shoot them through now. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up so it's under the 40-minute mark. Warren, thank you so much for your time. It's really exciting time, even though people do have fear. What you said before, you need to go beyond your fear, and that really, really is a key right now. If you are fearful, if you are feeling that this is too overwhelming, take that moment to ground yourself, reach out to one of us in the team, and we'll absolutely be able to help you.
Okay. That sounds great. And thank you so much for talking to me. Sounds really good.
No problems. All right. Thanks for everyone for jumping on tonight. We'll look forward to seeing you soon, and we'll be in touch with you all via social media or email. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.